Welcome back to the podcast, guys. Today I am so excited to talk with Christine. So thank you for being here, Christine.
Yes, I'm so grateful to be here.
Yeah. And I want to dig into so much today. We've got so much fabulous plant medicine goodness to talk about. But can you start by just telling us more about how you got into this ceremonial work, a little bit about your story, how you became an author and a leader in this space?
Yeah. So my full name is Christine Olivia Hernandez. And I was actually in Bali, of all places, when I discovered cacao. And I was in a cacao ceremony, and I'm sitting there and I get served Mayan cacao from Guatemala. And so immediately I am just like, wait a minute, I'm Guatemalan. And that was a part of me that I was so disconnected from, not even realizing that I purposely had no connection to that. I didn't really want to be because I was so heartbroken over that part of myself. I was so like saddened by my father's passing, and my father had taken his life. And so I felt disconnected completely from my Guatemalan roots because that's where he was from, Guatemala. And I didn't know any of that family. They had all pretty much passed away. I think I had like an uncle far off somewhere in Mexico that's really hard to find, and a half sister that like left to Michigan or something where I didn't have her contact either. So I felt very much disconnected from that part of myself. And as soon as I had the cacao, I realized, wow, I am like connected to a part of my heart that I've never felt before. I've never connected to my ancestors before. And that's what it did. It was like, oh, okay, you've always actually been there for me. And so what I came to understand is that the ancestors are always with us. They're always guiding us and watching over us and supporting us. And so it's just whether or not you acknowledge them. There are guides and they can help you if you're wanting and willing and open to them. So yeah, it brought me back to my heart, my connection to the ancestors, and this beautiful ancestral plant medicine that I realized that my ancestors have been using for thousands of years. So the Olmecs, the Aztecs, the Mayans have all been using this medicine for ceremonial purposes, for shamanic purposes, for healing purposes. Um, so I wanted to bring that understanding and that knowing back, because we know that chocolate is beautiful and delicious, right? But so many of us don't understand that when we have it in its purest form, in ceremonial form, then we retain all of the living enzymes and all of the health benefits. And that is what makes it a true spiritual aid as well as a superfood. So the ancestors knew this, and many of the indigenous people know this in certain parts, different parts, but we don't know this in the States. And so we consume and we eat chocolate and we think, wow, this makes us feel good. But then we don't feel so good afterwards, usually, because what happens is when we have chocolate, it's so highly processed, all of the living enzymes, all of the fat is removed. And that's where all the properties that we want, all the good stuff is in there. And what you have in chocolate is just the flavor, the taste of that chocolate. And a lot of times, really bad chocolate bars, they will put in bad oils. So they'll take that fat out and you'll have this kind of oily texture or soft texture, yet that's oil in there. That's not even the cacao. So it's really fascinating and interesting. And they got it. They're like close, but not quite. They didn't understand, right? Like so, we get to come back to that understanding and that knowing, and bring it back to the people and share it with the world.
Yes. I
That's
just get so fired up when I hear people really following their passion. Like you had this experience, it really
yeah,
lit you up. It kind of like grounded you in a new way, it sounds like. And then you were able to
yeah,
take that and be like, everyone needs to experience this. How can I share this? I think that is just such a beautiful journey, that hopefully
yeah,
inspires other people. And
yeah,
I gotta say, we should start with the basics. So please
yeah,
tell us, like, what is a
yeah.
cacao ceremony?
Yeah. So a cacao ceremony is simply a sacred space where we can tap in and connect with our hearts. So when you drink cacao, what happens is you can literally feel yourself open up. You can feel your heart butt open. That's why they call it heart opening medicine. So it's just like how deep are you wanting to go? This is a really gentle plant. This is not a psychedelic or a psychoactive. So it's just a gentle, beautiful plant that will walk us to the door of transformation, is how I like to put it, rather than push us through like some of these very intense medicines that are psychoactive and psychedelic. So this is this beautiful, what I like to call grandmother essence, where you can really feel her like loving, unconditional support and that sweetness like a grandmother. So in ceremony, you can feel yourself softening, opening. And again, it's just how deep do you want to go? Sometimes people will have their first sip and just start to break out into tears, and others will get the giggles, or they'll get tingles all over their body. And just like you're opening, you're expanding. It's very expansive, the experience, or cry or sweat or whatever. And the purpose with that, the plant is moving through your body and recalibrating your body. And what's happening is it's entering into the neuropeptides, and those neuropeptides in our body sometimes will get stuck. What's like trauma will get stuck in them, right? And so the cacao will help to kind of shake that out of you. And so that's what's happening, is you're having that ability to finally like release. And so it's beautiful when you give yourself the space, and you don't have to step into a large ceremony. You can create your own ceremony. You can order cacao online on Instagram. I have the most beautiful cacao, the cacao from Guatemala that is made by the Mayan Quiche women and the Quiche women. It's the most delicious cacao you'll ever taste, and the most powerful because it's made with that intention, with the purpose of our healing, made with love. It's like when your grandmother makes you soup. These grandmothers, these mothers, these indigenous beautiful women are making this medicine for your healing. And so you can feel that deeply and you can taste it. And so, yeah, when you create your own ceremony, you can have these same experiences. But when you do sit in a big space with others who are there with the same intention, it definitely just activates and amplifies the medicine, I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I like how you said you can kind of do it in different ways, right? You can use ceremony, kind of whatever that means to you. For example, I've had some by myself, I've had some with my husband. I mean, I guess you theoretically could just make your own cacao beverage and drink it, but I do think it definitely brings a lot of mindfulness to the moment and
Mm-hmm.
brings definitely in some magic if you can kind of make it with that intention, maybe say a little prayer to
Yeah.
any type of energy you believe in. I definitely think that does help get the most out of it, and being with other people and using that kind of those collective juices. Yeah, it makes
Mm-hmm.
it really special.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about intention. So, and drinking it mindfully, like you don't want to just drink it and go off. You won't feel much of a difference, but it will help you with your creativity. So it's beautiful for everything between the jungles and the boardrooms, we like to say. So
I
it's
love
good for
that.
all the things. Yeah. If you actually give yourself the time and space to sit with it, you can really feel into it.
Yeah. And so
Mm-hmm.
obviously this is from, our really ancient history, the use of cacao.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think has kind of spurred this more modern take on cacao ceremonies today?
Yeah. I think what it is, we found something that is not like only profound and potent, but gentle. I think that's probably the reason why people love it so much. And the taste is delicious.
And it
It's like,
tastes great.
yeah, it's wild how, yeah, how that's happening. But I think also like the fact that we live in the States and we're so close to these places where it originates from. It's like we're right here. We're supposed to be using it. I think the spirit of the plant is calling out to us because it wants to help us. I think all of the plants are here. A lot of them are here to help us heal. And there are so many different types. And I think we're just blessed to have this one in particular, which also helps us to recognize that, oh, wow, the indigenous people that are from here, that are indigenous to these lands, actually have this beautiful medicine that also wants to help us. I don't think anything is a coincidence, and that it's synchronistic for sure, that we would be on these lands and there's this medicine that is here on these lands that are supposed to help us heal,
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
definitely. And I
in the
think,
Americas. Yeah.
yeah, and part of the reason I feel like I have reached for it, more so in recent months as of this year, is because it helps me slow down too. And I think a lot of us
Mm-hmm.
are so fast paced. We're so go, go, go these days that if you can add in those little things, even if it's something like a beverage and making a little ceremony out of it, it really
Yeah.
helps me stop multitasking and start just like
Mm-hmm.
focus on what I'm doing right now and really try to sink into the moment. So
Yeah.
maybe that calls to other people as well. Yeah.
I recommend that you see, when people go to this medicine, it's so beautiful. It is so potent. It is so delicious. It is so many, it has so many wonderful qualities. But to really have reverence for this plant. And so what can happen is we can really love it and want to do it almost daily. And I think that it really wants to be used in reverence and um, not as often. I would recommend for people to use it like 3 times a week. And that is really nice. Now, if you're really wanting to feel the medicine and you want to start to share, I like to have people in my course. What they'll do is have it for 7 days in a row to really be with the spirit for a week. And then from there, you can start to do just the 3 days a week, but not too much. This is a plant. Remember, this is a plant ally and a plant medicine. And so we don't want to just use it every single day. It's nice to kind of really see the difference between your days when you are working with the medicine and when you aren't.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
really good point. And you mentioned some of the benefits already, like
Mhm.
creativity. What are some
Yeah.
other of the main benefits of having cacao in your life?
Yeah, so it's filled with the vitamins and nutrients and antioxidants. It's a powerhouse in antioxidants, even more so than blueberries. It has anandamide, which is the bliss molecule, theobromine that gently energizes us, magnesium that relaxes our muscles, feeds our
Mm-hmm.
brain, PA, serotonin, dopamine. So sometimes a lot of people, when they get off of antidepressants or instead of antidepressants, they will choose cacao because it really does make you feel really, really good. And also, some people like to say it's an aphrodisiac, which I do find that it can be. So, like, see how that feels. See how using it with your partner or with your own beautiful sensual practice or using it for creativity. You can use it for all these different ways because it's just this like beautiful medicine that helps you to feel better and allows you to open up to feel more. So it
Mm-hmm.
allows you to really truly be like in your body and able to feel the depths of your being. So whatever is present for you, you get to feel it. Like that's the point of living. Like let's feel
Yes.
all the beautiful things between pain and pleasure and all of it. So
Yes, I love that. Yeah, and I have also read that part of the reason that sometimes women crave chocolate around their periods has to do with
mhm.
being deficient in magnesium
Magnesium.
heading into
Mhm.
your new cycle. So, yeah,
Exactly.
instead of reaching for like crappy chocolate, doing some
Yeah.
work with cacao around your cycle could be super powerful as well.
Super beneficial and it helps with the cramps. Your cramps will go away. So I drink cacao on my moon cycle, on my bleed, because I not only feel better, but my cramps will also go away. So I'm in a better mood. It just helps with all of the things. So
Yes, love that. Love that. And I found you actually through Instagram. And I love your page because you talk about a lot of elements, kind of like a goddess vibe, and a lot of elements having to do with
yeah.
women. So that is
Hmm.
one thing I wanted to ask you about specifically is how, cacao, you mentioned like, especially the variety that you use is cultivated, produced by women. What is the role of that like cacao has with women?
What is the role? Well, it's a feminine plant
Mm-hmm.
spirit. Um, and so I think that's why the women really understand it, right? The feminine side, the feminine aspect to it. It's used for so many reasons, even with the midwives. The midwives, I did a training with the midwives. The Mayan Kichika midwife, actually Donna Dominga in San Marcos La Laguna in Guatemala. And they served us cacao on the opening day. And the fire ceremonies tend to have cacao. And the also in Mexico, the women like to, when they're doing womb healing, they like to serve cacao, and they actually do this beautiful blend that has another plant spirit, which I won't share here. But if you look into more Mayan womb healing, you'll find that they will tend to mix it with other plants to really relax you. But I think women just understand the importance, a lot of women understand the importance of the plants. And we are connected, I feel like, more to, and the embodiment really of our Earth Mother. And so it just would make sense that we'd understand the importance of cacao.
Yeah, it's like all of those layers kind of interwoven
Yeah.
from forever, from the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned kind of the specific role too that women can benefit from cacao, especially if they are the type that tend to give until their cup is empty, and using kind of the some of those slowness tactics to refill their cup first, do a little bit
Mm-hmm.
less of that people pleasing. Have you done some practice with that as well?
What do you mean exactly?
Oh, with kind of using any of these ceremonial practices to help fill your own cup first.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the way for us to feel into whatever it is we're feeling, take care of ourselves first. We get to remember that this is your vessel. You only have one vessel, you only have one being, this one beautiful life. So you get to feel into all of the things and love yourself and love up on yourself. So that beautiful chocolate, it makes you feel really, really good, right? And when you have it in that pure form, when you have it in ceremony, this is just going to allow you to open, feel really good, and allow you to love yourself and to connect with everything, connect with the earth, connect with others, connect with your heart and your remembrance of who you really are. So this will be a very empowering medicine, a medicine that connects you to your heart as well as your womb, really, and then that connection to the earth. So yeah, of course, when you're in ceremony, and whether that is a sound healing or all these different beautiful modalities that are out there, like all of these, please use them, harness them for your healing and for your connection to your heart and the truth of who you are. Like, we're all such beautiful walking miracles, and we forget. And in ceremony, you can remember, whether you're having a ceremony with water and you're just calling in your ancestors and the elements. Like right now, I'm getting chills just by taking a moment and like trying to feel into the elements and feeling into my guides being around me. That all fills me up with love and their support.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. It comes back to that connection and getting into your body, which again,
Mm-hmm.
kind of in our fast-paced society that a lot of us live in, we tend to, I think, live a lot more in our minds, in our logical thought patterns, and see our
Exactly.
bodies not really as a vessel, as more of like a doing machine almost, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we lose some of that connection when we are living in that logical thought process, when we think about what we should do, what is expected, what are we supposed to do. So yeah, any of those practices that I think it can definitely look a little different for everybody. Everyone has their own
Yeah.
thing that helps them get back in their body. But
Yeah.
just acknowledging that it is a practice that pretty much all of us need.
Yes. Yeah. In this fast paced world that we live in and living in the States, we are always in our heads. And for me, the cacao has helped me so much to come into my heart and come into my body that sometimes to put them into words, it's like, no, just watch me. And I am the embodiment of the divine feminine. I am the embodiment of the goddess. I am the merging between Mother Earth and Father Sky. So just sometimes I think we get to observe nature and observe others who are in the practice and try not to think about it too much, but just like feel and just be and just observe maybe. And really, it's coming into feeling more,
Mm-hmm.
and being in the heart.
Yeah, and you mentioned your first ceremony was kind of one of those first times you felt that strong connection. Do you have
Hmm.
any kind of advice that you've maybe picked up along the way for anyone who's resisting a
Yeah.
little bit? Like I hear a lot from my clients if they're struggling with their nutrition or their fitness, sometimes there's that point of I don't even trust my body. Like I feel like I'm in this
Mm.
battle with my body. So if someone's
Mm.
in one of those sticking places, do you have any kind of advice for working through that and deepening the connection?
Yeah. I would recommend that the first thing that they do is to come into gratitude. Come into gratitude. That's why I created the Mateyosh Method. I am the founder of this new method, which Mateyosh means thank you in Mayan. And so it's deep felt gratitude. So coming into gratitude, feeling into how grateful you are for whatever you have, like for the bed that you slept in, the roof over your head, the water that you can drink that is clean and clear and will actually hydrate you, whatever it may be. And from that space, try working with something like cacao first thing in the morning. Of course, first drink water, always hydrate in the
Yes,
morning.
yes.
Okay, hydrate water, use the restroom, do these things, take care of yourself, remember? And when you go and you have your cacao, sit with it in presence, get off of your phone, just fully be there with the medicine and bring up all of those things that you're feeling, bring it to the plant and see if, the plant can help you, and just like really try to get out of your head and do something that is so different. Remember those pattern interrupts that people like to talk about?
Hmm.
Like, get kind of weird for a minute. Would it hurt you to be weird? And like maybe ask that question to your cup, even though you may not even believe it yet. See what comes through. You can literally ask plant spirit for your support, and the plants are here. They're teachers, they're wisdom keepers, and they are more wise than you can ever imagine. And they have guidance and wisdom that is actually perfect for you. So if you give yourself the opportunity to open up and to listen, see what comes through. Like, give yourself the chance to see what happens when you do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Because otherwise, you are just stuck in that thought loop of, I'm in a battle with my body. I'm in a battle with
mm,
my body. And then that's just going to keep
mm,
perpetuating unless, exactly like you said, you interrupt it, do something
mm,
else, try something different. It will not hurt you, right?
mm.
What's the worst that could happen? You like laugh
Yeah,
at yourself? Laughing
yeah,
is also incredible medicine.
medicine.
So there you go.
Try something crazy. Like, just why not, right? Get a little
Hmm.
crazy. And the most beautiful thing with cacao ceremony, with my method, the Mateyosh method, it's like coming back to remembering that we're all just big kids pretending or trying to adult, right? And so giving ourselves the chance to play. Like, I think the cure to all of this is play, and cacao will help us to play and be like children again, right? That grandmother essence watching over us, allowing us to be whoever we are, to be our weird selves, to be our silly selves, to be our true selves, to be all of it, and fully welcoming all of us, the weird, the crazy, the ugly, the beauty, and all of that is so beautiful. And so in ceremony, we dance, we sing, we do all of the things to really shake all of that shit, all of it out of us, all that no longer serves, and come back into our hearts and our remembrance, and actually feel into true gratitude, not just saying we're grateful, right? But that's the beginning. We get to say it, even if you don't fully believe it yet, so that you do start to believe it, because you get to choose what you really believe. So you get to train yourself and keep coming back. And that little that little voice in the back of your head that isn't always positive, that has a lot of shit to talk, you can like name her or him. Name her Bertha or something. Let's call her Bertha. Bertha likes to talk shit and she's a little negative. Okay. So you get to quiet her up and quiet her down, and let her go. And then you come into your heart and see what speaks from there.
Hmm. Yeah, that's something I do with a lot of my one-on-one clients actually, is like naming the part of them that is
Yeah.
looping that negative thought or whatever it may be, and figuring out how to make peace with that
Yeah.
and choose something else in your current present reality versus
Mm-hmm.
letting your Bertha take the wheel. Totally. Yes.
Yeah, we all have one. So it's
Yes,
like
we
really
do.
acknowledging that and coming back to like, well, that doesn't need to be the end all be all. And that is not the true story, actually. So what is your truth? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of play, you look like you were at the beach today or something. I forgot to ask, where are you right now? You're in this beautiful structure, house.
I am in Malibu right now,
Oh,
staying with
wonderful.
soul family and having the most beautiful time here.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Good energy coming to the podcast from you for sure, from
Oh,
Malibu.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that.
It's
And then,
incredible.
yeah, and before we hit record today, we were also kind of very briefly talking about inner child work.
Yeah.
How is that related to everything that you do in this space?
It's related to everything. Again, like I believe we are all just children. And for me, when I drink, and in the beginning, when I was drinking cacao quite often and I was writing and really using it for my healing work, I was really tapped into my truth. And my truth is speaking to my inner child within and remembering that she still exists and she's always there and she gets to be acknowledged. And there's still healing work to do with her always and checking in. And so it's part of the process. Like when we drink the cacao, when we start to feel into our body and our hearts and into the truth of who we are, we feel that we're still that child actually. And so getting to express her and allow her to play. And so in ceremony, it's like feeling into whatever she's feeling and allowing her to be in that, express that, and giving her whatever she needs. I just find that a really important aspect of it. I wrote my book with the ritual of drinking cacao every time I sat down to write the book. So, for whatever reason, it is a very important part. And I don't have the exact, like, this is why, but I know actually that it is very important. It's an important process of our healing as a collective, like the world needs to heal. And I think actually the reason why is because all, destructive behavior stems from the wounded child, right? So if
Yes.
that's the case, then we have to do everything it takes to heal our inner children and to not let them run the show, but actually mother and father our inner child because our parents didn't know how to do it perfectly. No one does. And so, but you know what you want, you get to figure out what you do really, truly want, what you really need, and what you didn't get back then that you get to give to yourself now. And again, cacao can help you to start to really feel into what is all there, what is really present in your being, in your body, and unlock these different parts of you and the different layers. And yeah, with the book, I feel like it was really channeled. It's called A Child of Magic, and that it was kind of channeled by the cacao spirit herself, because sometimes when she would speak, it was like it wasn't even me. I'm like, who is this? It's so beautiful. But yeah, it really goes into the fantasy world and the remembrance that we all come from magic, that we are all magical beings, and that we forget that through the human experience and through heartbreak. And just like my heart was broken when my father left, and so many of us are heartbroken by our parents, and their decisions and their choices. And so we get to come back into the remembrance of who we are, and who we are is so fucking magical. We're literally the ancestors' miracles come true, right? We are their walking miracles and their prayers in the living flesh. And so coming back to that, it's really beautiful. The book is really beautiful, and it deals with, and it talks on the history, a little bit of cacao, of course, a little bit of history, Mayan history, and the inner child connection and importance of healing the inner child and connecting with it and remembering it and playing with it and all of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it never
Yeah.
ceases to amaze me the deeper I go into specifically nutrition with a lot of the women I work with, that
Yeah.
something always, always comes up from childhood. Whether
Yeah.
it was a time of sadness or judgment around food, or, runs the gamut. Um,
Yeah.
it's it's so important to peel back those layers and to look at that and to acknowledge, like you said, play with your inner child, help heal your inner child. And it's not always the easiest work, right? That's
No.
definitely, I
Yeah.
think, an ongoing practice that I myself
Mm-hmm.
continuously work on when I notice different habits and or thought patterns, and I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what, where did this come from? And if I can take that time to really sit and get a little bit deeper from it, I can
Yeah.
usually understand that, oh wow, this was from when I was 8 years old and that one
Oh
random
yeah.
thing happened. Now I get to choose to heal that and release that, and again
Hmm.
choose the path I want, choose the emotion, the vibe that I want to be in, that's going to take me closer to my higher self, if you will,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't have to look one way. It is really hard. It can be really hard. And then
Mm-hmm.
it also can be really fun. And the fun aspect is like drinking chocolate and like giggling and drawing and singing and dancing and watching some Disney movies. Like
Yes.
whatever it is for you that lifts your child up, like do that, play with that. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes, beautiful. I love that. And then we talked a little bit about kind of your goddess energy, believing that, you are embodiment of the divine feminine. If
Hmm.
people are kind of struggling with that, getting back into their connection with other women, even, we're kind of in this like
Hmm.
feminism age, but it still feels like there's a lot of separateness between, women and their bodies, between different women all over the world. What do you
Yeah.
feel like are some ways that like you have seen work really well for cultivating more sisterhood, for cultivating more community with women, like raising up that goddess energy in all of us?
Yeah, for me, what helped is the cacao. Like it always comes back to this.
It always goes back to the cacao.
Like it really has just helped me in every single facet of my life, honestly. So it definitely goes back to cacao. Cacao is such a medicine, a beautiful, gentle medicine that like we are supposed to share with the world. And so since the beginning, like I told you how I knew it was an understanding and a calling that I'm supposed to share it with the world. So instantly I get back to the States and I'm telling every single person I know. And I don't even know what I'm talking about in the beginning. I'm just like cacao, cacao, cacao. I don't even know how many times I've said cacao. That's how like important it is to me. And yeah, and then learning more about it. Once I finally really dove into it, I started sharing it with anybody and everyone who wanted to learn. So I would just reach out to people on Instagram, like, would you like to try a ceremony with me? And I'd like to share it with you. That's how some of my friendships actually begun. And just a couple, like I knew that I was supposed to reach out and I did. And then I'd meet so many other beautiful women just in community. And through this medicine, it's just such a heart opening medicine. It's such a beautiful way to connect with people. And so if you are wanting to make sisterhood, you are wanting to make deep connection, like the cacao will actually help you to do that as well. So on
Yeah.
so many levels, it has helped me in my life. Sharing it with people, their hearts are like, we're here. And that's exactly where we should all be when we connect with other people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how you can like deepen and get into like real deep friendships and connections with people very quickly. So that has helped me with sisterhood so much, actually.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to embodiment, it's like because the cacao helps you to get into your body, then you are here fully, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
in your knowing. For me, also calling my energy back to me, realizing that, like, how, feeling into how have I given my energy away? How have I given my power away to an ex or to a person, whoever, whenever? Remembering that now you can let that all go and you can call your energy back to yourself, empower yourself, and feel into your power and your divinity. And so when you do that, you can do that in ceremony. You can do it right now. Try it on, for
Yeah.
yourself. And really just saying that I call all of my energy back to myself now. I am here now. We are here now. I am here now,
Yeah.
and feeling into your power, like really knowing and really feeling held by the earth and knowing that you are the embodiment of Mother Earth. It's like this understanding and this feeling more than like
Like a
thinking about it.
like a yeah, like a logical try to wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
It's more of a feeling. Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite meditative practices actually is I kind of like picture if my energy was sprawled out like throughout my neighborhood, throughout my house, I picture basically like siphoning it back into my body. And it
Mm-hmm.
is, if you are ever feeling, you know, even like fatigued or like run down,
Yep.
that simple practice
Yeah.
can just seriously energize you and definitely
Mm.
connect you with like, oh my gosh, I am this powerful divine being, especially when I don't give all my power away, and remembering to check yourself on that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and sitting in different stances, like take up space. Remember that you are perfect as you are, and you are supposed to take up space. And so, like, yeah, a beautiful practice, you can see me on here, but maybe they can't see me, but like spreading out your legs and your arms
She's
out
in like
like
a
this.
sumo squat, you guys.
Yeah. And
Hands
just bringing
facing
that
up towards the sky.
energy up. And just taking up space and feeling into that. And you can bring that energy back into your body. And just from there, feel the difference,
Mm-hmm.
in
Yes.
your stance and your walk
Yeah,
and in your
movement is
being.
so powerful, right? Any type
Yeah,
of exercise that
exactly.
calls to you, like if you're feeling stuck in your head, any type
Yeah.
of movement can be a beautiful practice to, yeah, bring that energy back into your body, let go of the logic and the rules and the having to understand, and get back into the feeling. Totally.
Hmm.
That was,
Yes,
I
I
think,
love that.
the perfect way to wrap it up. But before I
Yay.
let you go, where can people connect with you? Where can they learn more? Buy ceremonial
Yeah.
cacao for themselves?
Yeah, all on my Instagram. Everything is there. Christine Olivia _ and Christine is CH and with an E.
I'll put it in
Christine.
the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah, and there you can find the cacao. I have a training coming up soon, actually, in Costa Rica, where people can learn the Mateyosh Method and they can share it with their communities and share it with your sisters and create your own incredible sisterhood. Like, it's going to be so beautiful for everyone to use this method in their own community. So I'm really excited about that. And I have a program online that you can join at any time if you want to already deepen your practice with the cacao spirit and with me. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys definitely tag us when you're trying out your first cacao ceremony.
Please.
We want to see, we want to support you.
Yes.
And yeah, Christine, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and wisdom.
Thank you so much, sister.
Yes, and we'll talk to you guys
Mateyosh.
soon.
Mateyosh. Yay.
Do you feel energized and refreshed now? I hope this episode gave you a little boost to get out there and start manifesting your fittest, healthiest life. If you loved it, please help me out by writing a review and sharing this episode to your story. And seriously, just thank you so much for being here. For daily updates of what I've got going on and to connect further, be sure to follow me on Instagram and head over to ccowellness.com to learn more about my one-on-one coaching and find additional resources there, including my Goddess's Guide to Macros ebook, plus a few freebies. And remember, you are strong, you are capable of achieving anything you desire, and you are worthy of all your wildest dreams.